5, Nick Sirianni. He just got a contract extension.
Yeah, he deserves
That's your man's. Is it fair to say that Nick Sirianni is the best coach in the NFC?
Hey, Nick, and I apologize, Nick. I'll make sure I text you later today and congratulate you on that new contract because you did earn that thing.
Yes,
okay? This is an easy one, though, right? Because we can live in the past, all these different coaches and all that. But we live in today, right now, absolutely. He's the #1 coach in the NFC. I mean, if you just look at his track record, right, and this is an easy one. I don't have to really brag too much, but all he does is win. Yeah. At his worst, there's some teams at their worst, they might lose games and might not go to the playoffs, right? Not him. At my worst, I'm going to the playoffs. I don't have to talk about it because you can see it. Overall, he's 54-23 overall record, Super Bowl champion. He's been there twice, 2-time NFC champs. That's what he does. He's 40-20 overall 4 years. In the playoffs, he's 6-3. I just don't know what else I can say about him. And the sad thing is, he's just getting started. This might be the worst we see in Nick Sirianni because he's going to go back again. And these next 3 years, you telling me we ain't go to 2 NFC championship games in the next 2 years? Next 3 years? Talk about it.
It's going to be tough to argue with you.
We look at a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who, when he came into the league, most people didn't think much about him. Yeah. At Alabama, you were really, really good. You were that good that you got benched in the biggest game of your career in college. Okay? Then you move on to Oklahoma, right, to see how that thing worked out. You didn't go first round. You went second round. You came to Philadelphia when they already had a really good quarterback, right? And I don't know how that was going to work out, but it was a lot of controversy. Nick Sirianni came through and developed this quarterback. With all these different coordinators, it's hard to do that. And my real estate business, I always tell people, I want to stick with the guys I know. I want to stick with my contractor. I want to stick with my painters because I know that who they are. I don't want to have, and I always relate this to football, I say I don't want to have a new coach every game, a new coach every year, a new coordinator every year. They had that in Philadelphia. And the same thing that happened, the same results. We win, and we go to the playoffs, and we go to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to keep it real short, fellas.
Real short.
Nick Sirianni is the best coach in the NFC.
It's hard to argue. I'm not going to argue.
Please don't argue that.
I'll suggest this. I think Nick Sirianni is the best coach in the NFC because even if it's debatable, because Sirianni won the Super Bowl most recently, he's got to get the edge. The biggest indicator to me that Sirianni is the best coach in the NFC is what I love the most. He won a Super Bowl with the quarterback he inherited. We haven't seen that happen since Peyton Manning, Gary Kubiak in 2015, and Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers, 2011. A quarterback you inherited. All these other coaches winning Super Bowls with quarterbacks they handpicked. Sean McVey, I have a #1 overall pick in Jared Goff. No, I don't like that Mercedes-Benz. I want the Rolls-Royce in Matthew Stafford. You even think about Kyle Shanahan. Though he hasn't won a Super Bowl, he's been to Super Bowls. 3 different quarterbacks he handpicked. Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy. You think about Bruce Arians. Obviously, he won a Super Bowl with the quarterback he handpicked, who just so happened to also be Tom Brady. Zach Taylor, he got to handpick Joe Burrow, didn't win a Super Bowl, but went to a Super Bowl. Not only has Nick Sirianni gone to a Super Bowl, but he's won a Super Bowl with the QB he inherited. Yeah. Doug Peterson and company acquired Jalen Hurts. I inherited you, Jalen Hurts, and I won a Super Bowl with you. That, to me, it speaks the most. But also, you can knock Sirianni for not calling plays and not dictating X's and O's. But to me, Chase, the most important thing is how he keeps the train on the tracks. Yeah. Like when I really think about the fact of whether you know this team well or don't know this team at all, clearly the people at the top don't all see eye to eye on everything. Yeah. Most importantly, one of the most polarizing and divisive figures you could suggest in the country, Saquon Barkley, spending all the time in the world with him, President Trump, and notably the quarterback, along with the 2-star receivers, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, didn't go to the White House. So just by nature of one of the most polarizing figures who some befriend and others stay away from, and you keep them on the same track with the same goal, winning the same Super Bowl, to me, Sirianni's ability to galvanize a team speaks volumes. That's why he's the best.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough conversation because it's not easy at all. Nick Sirianni has been special. He's been special in Philadelphia. And then not only that, one of the biggest markets, too, you're going to take a lot of heat, even if you lose 2 games in a row and still make the playoffs in Nick Sirianni. But I got to go with Sean McVey. And I earned a lot of respect for Sean McVey as a coach these last 2 years, right? You lose Aaron Donald, and your roster really is not built to go chase championships or even really built to get to the playoffs. We were all talking about the Rams like they're in a rebuild situation, right? You lost a lot of players, F them picks and all that. You did get a Super Bowl out of it. And Sean McVey said, hold on, I'm still a mastermind at this thing. I still have a really good quarterback in Matthew Stafford. And he took some really, really young rosters to the playoffs. And a lot of these games he wins, we can point at him and say, yeah, that was because Sean McVey. Yeah, that was a great call by Sean McVey. I knock Sirianni a little bit, and I apologize, because he doesn't do any of that. And it might not be fair, but he doesn't call plays. He doesn't do any of that. So I give Sean McVey the edge on that, and he's been to NFC championship games, and he's been to 2 Super Bowls, and he's won a Super Bowl, and he's still getting to the playoffs consistently with young rosters. I put Sean McVey as the best coach in the NFC right now. That's my vote, but it is very, very, very close, man. Listen to y'all. Y'all almost changed my answer. Y'all did.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to argue that he's certainly one of the best.
That's inarguable.
To say he's the best, I don't know. Like, I would say, and I put him in a tier of similar like-minded coaches that include Sean McVay. I look at the head coaches in the NFC similar to tiers, and here's the 6 guys that made my tier. Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan, Nick Sirianni, all for different reasons. Like, and this is not in order, so don't freak out. I don't have Dan Campbell number 1. However, it's an alphabetical order. And when you look at the success that Nick Sirianni's had this season, think about it. They started 2-2, then won 16 out of the last 17 games. And I was hard on Nick Sirianni when they started 2-2. Rightfully so. There were some strategic mishaps, right? You get that sometimes as a CEO-type coach. But what's fascinating to me and where I think he's really blossomed as a head coach is he's done it with different coordinators. I think the smartest thing he did last year was hire Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio to oversee the offense and the defensive side of the football. More importantly, he kept a team together through a lot of tough times because we had a lot of topics on this show about the Philadelphia Eagles. The drama incidents last year include A.J. Brown reading a book on the sideline. We went crazy for that. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith calling out the passing game. Remember with that, the Jalen Hurts, well, what's the problem? It's passing. Remember Brandon Graham saying things have changed between Hurts and Brown during a radio interview. Sirianni yelling at Eagles fans, shaving his head. Browns and Hurts beefed up on the sideline game in week 2 of 2023. There's been a long road to get here. And a CEO-type coach is supposed to galvanize a team, is supposed to keep a team together because the Eagles have a lot of big-name personas.
Of course.
And when they have that, you have to have a head coach that can handle all the different personalities and personas and all this stuff on the outside seemed like it was a huge deal and it would derail their season. And what did the Eagles do? They won a Super Bowl. So he's without a doubt one of them.
Because of sports television, I'm going exactly where you're going. Because of sports television, let me derail this conversation, Chase, and obviously in a respectful manner. I think it is disrespectful to include a guy I've spent time with off of the football field, Kevin O'Connell, in the same conversation as Nick Sirianni. Sure.
Coach of the Year.
I think it's disrespectful to include, and a Coach of the Year, which I voted, by the way. Yeah. I vote for Kevin O'Connell for Coach of the Year, and I do not think that Kevin O'Connell is the coach that Nick Sirianni is. I think it's disrespectful to include Dan Campbell in the same conversation as Nick Sirianni. Reason I would suggest 2 Super Bowl appearances, obviously, for Nick Sirianni, Super Bowl win for Nick Sirianni. Dan Campbell's gone to an NFC championship game, I believe, once. He's been there for 4 years, obviously. Shout out to what he's done. Kevin O'Connell has never won more than 2 playoff games. I think he's won 1 playoff game in the entirety of his tenure. Shout out to Kevin O'Connell and what he's done with who he's done it with. Yeah. But Nick Sirianni should, I believe, only be in a conversation with Sean McVay. And if you want to include Kyle Shanahan, of which I would include, and because I'm partial, admitting my bias, if you want to include Kyle Shanahan, who's also been to 2 Super Bowls, include that. But
I don't, because I like Kyle, but he can't sit there at this table and talk to us right now.
That's fair.
You good? You are good. You ain't no winner though. And the thing I love about Nick Sirianni is he didn't get that shot. Right? When he signed to the Eagles, nobody was like, oh my God, we got one. True. Nobody said that. Yeah. But when Kyle Shanahan came in there, they was excited because of his history and his family. Yep. And then even Sean McVay, people say, this kid is so smart, this and the third. So that's one part of it. The second part is all these moving pieces. So you get a quarterback like Jalen Hurts that nobody was just big on and thought that he would succeed. True. And he said, I'll take him and I'll make sure he'll be well. He'll be good. And he was good, right? And then the last part is all the different coordinators. Listen, I'll tell you what. I was a really good player in any system, any scheme. That's his God-gifted, blessed talent, right? But it's hard to just be good in all systems.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Because some coaches don't like the way you do this. Some coaches don't like the way you do that. And for somehow, some way, Nick Sirianni has so many different coordinators, and it didn't matter. Yeah. We're going to the bowl. We're going to the playoffs. We're going to the NFC Championship game. And then the last part is when you talk about superstar players, it's hard to deal with all of them.
That's what I'm saying.
He want to do this. He want to do that. I don't like this call. I don't like that call. I want to read a book. I don't want to read a book. And he found a way
he did.
to monetize all that.
Yep. That's it.
No, that's
it.
not it. That is not it.
That's not it.
And the last thing is, when I look at the Niners, I don't see no Super Bowl in their path. They're not really wrong because I don't know everything, but I don't see it. The Rams. Now last year they proved me a little bit wrong at the end.
Yeah.
Right? At the end, they proved me wrong. And I think going forward, they made some moves in the offseason. Like, okay, I could potentially see in them. I can see some Super Bowl on their path, right, going forward. But for the Eagles, if a person on TV or somebody in your neighborhood say, I can't see the Eagles going back to the NFC Championship game or a Super Bowl, they are a liar and they are lying. Yeah. And that gives a lot of credit to Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, and I agree, like I said.
Thank you for agreeing. Thank you for agreeing.
Really quick with Chase, man, because,
What's up, man?
You come up here and you try to put the wool over our eyes with your tears.
What you talking about?
And not pick a coach, man. Pick a coach, number one. Right. Pick a coach. Nick Sirianni or Sean McVey. That's it. It's one of them.
Right. Oh, this that. I like this guy. I like that guy. You don't like only one of them.
That's 20% of the coaches in the NFL.
We all looking right now.
There's only 2 more coaches. Put the pressure on him, please.
I think all those coaches are in the top tier of coaching. And you can say disrespectful, you can say this, that, another.
There's 16 NFC teams.
Yeah.
That's 6 of 16.
If I'm starting a
That's
team.
40% of the NFC coaches.
So you're not going to control your show? You're going to control your show or not?
Completely. What's wrong with having 6 coaches in the top tier?
He's in the top 40%?
Yeah. He's one of the top coaches in the NFC.
But that's almost half the coaches in the NFC.
Is Nick Sirianni the best coach in the NFC? And you gave us 6 coaches up there.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask one question, though? Because I hate what you're doing, but I love you. Right? How can Nick Sirianni be in the same conversation of everybody else other than Sean McVey? No, I'm being serious, though.
Me too.
First of all, he can absolutely be in the same conversation with Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, since 2019, has been to 2 Super Bowls and 2 NFC Championship games with all sorts of type of rosters. He has not won a Super Bowl. I get you. He absolutely deserves to be in the same.
Wait, time out. Chase.
He absolutely deserves to be in the same tier.
Hold on. But Chase, you talk like he won something.
I get that. I'm saying in general, a bet, like I would say with Sirianni, right? Like I like Sirianni.
I can't tell you.
I can't tell
yet. I can't tell yet.
I just gave a huge quote about how he kept the team together.
But you kept him there with Kevin O'Connell, who's a phenomenal man.
Won Coach of the Year with Sam Darnold.
So did Brian Dable won Coach of the Year, right?
It doesn't matter. So it's not
the same as Super Bowl.
You just voted on it?
I'm just saying Kevin Stefanski won it twice.
I believe all those coaches I have on my tiers, they've done a really good job at maximizing the talent that they have on their roster. I would say the Eagles roster is without a doubt the best roster that he's had the past 3 or 4 years.
And so have the Niners.
So he's done well with it.
And that's it. And I knew he was going to.
Not last year.
When they were having success.
When they were having success.
I'm saying not last year.
But I'm saying when they were having success like the Eagles, the roster was great. Everybody said, all right, the roster was great.
Shanahan is in the tier.
But you didn't win, though.
He didn't win. And I love Kyle.
I'm saying,
That's fine.
but not only that,
they were in overtime away.
But if your tier was those 3, respectable.
I thought you liked that I put LaFleur.
I mean, I like my Packers, but LaFleur shouldn't be on there right now when we're talking about Sirianni.
You guys don't think Dan Campbell's
with all due respect.
One of the best head coaches.
We think he's
not when you're talking about Sirianni, though. You know what I'm saying?
If you break those tiers up into that's fine. I mean, that's who I believe that I want to start a franchise with.
How about this? Okay, because I'm on TV, I'm learning how to ask different questions to get different results.
Yes, sir.
You're growing.
Right.
I'm trying to grow.
You live in San Diego, right?
SD, baby.
If you don't tell me one coach, we're taking your keys and you cannot leave. Tell us if you had to
leave in LA.
If you had to pick one coach, and if you don't pick it, you can't leave. I mean, you can't see your kids, you can't see your wife, you can't see that nice big house you got.
If I had to pick one coach, it's Sean McVey.
Thank you, sir.
Fair.
Thank you.
That's all I've been trying to get you to say.
Have a conversation around these head coaches.
Chase, no.
Oh, I told you it would go.
The question wasn't let's have a conversation about the best coach. It's Nick Sirianni.
I can't, and I wanted to be respectful to Sirianni because I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFC. But so it's a different way of saying, hey, these are who I think.
But it's okay saying he's the best.
But it's also fair. I like what you said though in regards to it's fair to say Sean McVay's the best.
No, of course.
There's several arguments for Sean McVay being the best. It'd be hard to convince anybody that Shanahan's the best, but you could.
I disagree with that. I think he's up there with Sirianni.
But I didn't say up there.
I get the Super Bowl as the tiebreaker, sure.
That's my point.
But the sustained success over the long term, right? Sirianni has done it for 4 years. He's been to the playoffs each of the first.
But here's the difference, right? I like this conversation, and we're talking about the Niners next, so it's all the same anyway. They'll flow into the next one.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan has lows, lows. 4-win season lows, 5-win season lows. He has lows. Sirianni's lowest, though only 4 years to Chase's point. I'll try to play devil's advocate while I'm also trying to advocate for the Angels simultaneously. Nick Sirianni's lowest low
was last year.
Is when make the playoffs.
6 years.
It's making the playoffs. Yeah. So, like, I love Shanahan.
What did they lose? 6 in a row last season?
It was a year that went down, whatever. Yeah, like
playoffs.
That's the lowest low. So the reason for me that Sirianni has now differentiated himself. If you asked me this question last year, I would have said Kyle Shanahan is the best or second best coach in football. He got a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and not only that though, like Kyle Shanahan's not in the AFC. He's in the NFC. We beat you and beat down your quarterback. And I've been to 2 Super Bowls since I got this head coaching job in the NFC, which means I got to go through you. And I won a Super Bowl.
And I won it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, he can't even be in the conversation with him. And if we said who's the better offensive play caller, that's a whole different conversation. As a head coach of a football team, to be honest with you,
one of the few
he
that
can't be in there with Nick Sirianni.
Which I actually agree with now. The way the game's going, to be a CEO coach is much more difficult to put your stamp on the team because you're not calling offensive plays and you're not calling defensive plays. So that makes what Sirianni has done that much more impressive.
And I think you would give him a little bit more credit if you knew a little bit more about the Eagles. Because when I say that, you always bring that back to like, yo, he doesn't really call plays. He doesn't have a lot. And he is really involved. Yeah. If you
I'm just saying, I'm giving him his credit because I think it's harder to be a CEO-type coach and have success.
But what I'm saying is, if you sat down with Saquon, right? If you sat down with A.J. Brown, and even sat down with Jalen, they'll tell you he has a lot to do with the offense.
I think this year it'll be even more.
Because if you think about it, if you look at all the coordinators, they all are different, right? All the ones that Jalen Hurts had.
They all do a lot of the same stuff.
But when you come to Philadelphia, you do the same stuff because that lets you know that, yo, that's not your offense. That's not your offense. That's Nick Sirianni's offense. Nick Sirianni's offense.
Good point.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So he doesn't get enough credit for having an influence on the offense.
Yep. And he doesn't get enough credit for moving on quickly. You know, some people let things linger if it's bad. Sirianni, Brian Johnson, you're not working out. Okay, we got to part ways. Sean Desai, defensive coordinator, I'm going to fire you in the middle of the season. Matt Patricia, you not working out. I'm getting rid of you too. And now I got Vic Fangio going on. Like, think about Sirianni. He don't do the stuff other coaches. They'll linger around with the bad OC for years and years. Ask Mike Tomlin. They'll linger around with bad OCs for year after year after year. And boys, like, hey, if it ain't working, you got to.
I think a key figure in that whole situation to be able to move on that fast is Howie Roseman doesn't get enough credit.
Of course,
but based on what he does, right? Like when Chip Kelly took over, he went, to the side and he's back on, and just the roster that Howie has given Nick and the way that Nick and Howie work together, it's.
Can I just ask y'all a question really quick? Who's the worst team in football right now, or just throw a team out?
Question.
Raiders?
No, sir.
Raiders?
Jets,
Jets or Patriots,
Saints.
Patriots.
Okay,
Saints.
so let's say they both. Let's say the Saints. Let's just take the Saints.
The Saints.
No. Let's just say the Saints. All right.
Come on, man.
Nick Sirianni or Sean McVey, if they were on the Saints right now, who takes them further?
Ooh, Sean McVey.
Why?
Because I believe, Sean McVay offensively will take them further than the command.
I think Sean
is that basically you saying that McVay's a better coach?
Yes.
Who takes them
Nick
further?
Sirianni, sir. Because he's going to have a big influence on the offense. Stuff they talking about.
It depends on who you hire.
And he's going to have something to do with the defense. Because we all talk about how Vic did so great of a job, right? I did watch Vic go to Miami and didn't look good.
Vic did a great job, too.
Vic did a great job.
I don't think so.
Trying to take the credit
I don't think. Hold on, hear me out for a second.
I'm hearing.
The same one that I seen Mahomes and them never have a problem with Vic. Never.
Yeah, Mahomes.
Can't wait. Well, hold on. Can't wait to play. Vic, you so good. Can't wait to play you.
Get to your point,
right?
JD. Get to your point.
But you come to Philadelphia and he looked flawless. And we're going to give him all the credit. That's my thing. It's like, we'll give him all the credit.
He calls the defense.
Yeah, and Nick Sirianni had nothing to do with that? You don't think?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think we're giving him too much credit with that.
Hold up. I think as a head coach, I think Nick, Kyle. Nick Sirianni got in that room, and let's talk, Vic. Let's talk, because you ain't just flawless.
I'm sure
because your career ain't just been flawless. You've been good, though. So let's sit down here and let's talk about this thing. Okay, that's what you want to do. This what I like to hear that. I don't like that.
So we giving Sirianni all the credit.
Well, I need you to answer.
But he gets some of that credit.
Answer that same question.
I was saying that because obviously my initial answer was McVay because of the offensive mind and all that McVay is. So I would take McVay, but I choose him as the best coach in the NFC. So I just wanted to see what.
But you see how you're only talking about offense.
No, I'm just.
Nick Sirianni has a lot to do with offense, but also with the defense part of things. He just said when things don't go right, we fire.
But even the last 2 years, McVay and the young defense has played well, and they made the
both of them dudes.
Not a lot of talent in the roster.
What up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.